Greetings, citizens! Justiguy has arrived. I'm going to try to be brief with this one, and since I'm sure you've read the title and already know where this is going, I'm going to just dive right in and assume if you're watching this, you know the context necessary. I might do another video on this at a later date, but for now I hope this will suffice. Anyway, as I'm sure most are aware, there's a lot going down with the new EA Star Wars game. More specifically, how it's a pay-to-win mess. One type of complaint about this that, to me, stands out more than others are those that run along the lines of, we already paid once, we shouldn't pay again. This is like a free-to-play game complaints. Essentially, the complaints that are implying that the things Star Wars Battlefront II is doing are acceptable in a free-to-play environment. That it wouldn't be a problem if not for the initial price tag that the developers are already slapping on the game beforehand. Now, a couple of weeks ago, I posted a lengthy video where I addressed the problem with this argument, so I won't do so much again here, but suffice to say, yeah, no. These mechanics, these methods, these tactics, these manipulative ways that these predators prey on consumers, they're not good, they're not acceptable, they're not okay. We shouldn't be building arguments and cases around the idea that this context is not okay because that context is the okay way. No, that's absolutely not what we should be doing here. Yes, they're arguably worse in the context of a supposed AAA game that you already paid for, but we shouldn't be acting like these tactics are acceptable in any way, shape, or form. I feel like that's just the type of argument being made to get the kind of person that goes, "But they're just cosmetics, it's not bad," to agree with you. Those people that go, the kind of microtransactions I like are Overwatch's kind. The kind of person that, well, a harsher person might say deserves to be ripped off and taken for everything they have. Sure, if it gets more people on your side for this argument to win this battle, then that might work in the short term. But what about the long term? When it reinforces the idea that microtransactions, that pay to win, that all of this deplorable behavior is okay in some context, just not the current one being discussed now, I worry that that's just going to make the eventual loss come all the easier, come all the sooner. So I'll say it until I'm blue in the face, but you can't win this by trying to argue that it's the initial cost to the game that makes all the difference. That makes any difference. The initial cost is a one-time cost. It's a bump in the road compared to the extensive grind that these games are designed to either make you sit through or pay to move past. It might seem like a lot, especially if you're a player that only ever plays for free or for that initial purchase price, a player that never pays in these games, but that gameplay, that's the real cost you need to look at. The cost of either your time or your money. These games, free and otherwise, are becoming more and more indistinguishable from each other. That means that the more you try to argue that there is a distinction between them, all because of that price, then the harder it is to justify the other criticisms about the model when the games might soon be identical except for that price tag. They already are very close to being that now. Are you really trying to say that these games are fine as they are except that you have to pay for them to get in? Are you really trying to say that designing games that prey on those who would become addicts is fine so long as you don't charge people up front? Are you really trying to say that designing games made to create addicts is fine so long as people don't have to pay for the honor of finding out whether or not they're one of the lucky few who will become whales? I don't think that's what you're trying to say. But every time someone out there says, this is like a free-to-play game, or emphasizes that initial cost, that is the underlying message you reinforce. That it's that initial price that's the core problem. And I truly don't think it is. But what do I know? I'm just a guy. The hypocritical guy that will go on being a hypocritical guy, spouting bullshit, and so on and so forth. But I am a guy that firmly believes microtransactions in any shape or form are wrong, are bad. Whether the game is free, whether the game is paid, whether the game has a subscription, it's all bad. We should not try to use one model or one way as a way to say that another model is bad and imply that the other model is good. They're all bad. Some models may be quote-unquote better, but the other model is still always going to be bad. A -10 may be higher than a -50, but it is never going to be higher than 0. And I hope you can understand that, citizens. And that's all I've got to say about this. So until next time, I'm afraid that this is farewell.